Hi, I'm Tom Campbell from Cultaholic.com.
Just do it. What is it? Go on. Why have you got tins?
mean?
Why have you got tins? Go on. Just.
Tin Man.
Oh, fantastic.
Variation on a theme.
I feel really, really unwell this morning, Tom. And I've come in and just gold. Absolute gold immediately. Well, silver. Great stuff.
Actually, it's tin. Here's some news. Big title change on last night's episode of Raw. All Elite Wrestling have signed a former WCW commentator. And we have a return date for The Undertaker. So new champions crowned on an episode of Monday Night Raw last night, Adam Pacitti.
Absolutely. I thought this was a really strong episode of Raw. I can hear my voice coming out of my mouth right now. This is the super sexy Cultaholic news.
Oh, welcome. ASMR Pacitti
Barry
later on.
White. This is lovely. So yeah, Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman have captured the Raw tag titles, defeating the OC. How do you feel about this, Tom?
Do you know what? They join a long line of not friends, but tag champions in WWE, the likes of John Cena and Shawn Michaels, John Cena and Batista, John Cena and The Miz, Charlie Haas and Rico.
There's one, there you go.
Do you know what this is? It's a bit of an old wrestling trope in it, because the shtick is that the Clash of Champions, it's going to be Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman for the WWE Championship. So this is a bit of an old trope to go, let's make them tag team champions that can't quite get along. Now, they were friendly enough last night, but as Raw went off the air, you had Braun looking at the WWE title, which is, a bit...
The Universal title, Tom.
Sorry, the Universal title, my apologies. I'm sure by now it says so in the comments. So he's already coveting the Universal Championship over the tag team title. So it's fine. I mean, I was quite happy with the OC having lots of belts. I thought it was a nice look for them. So
I agree.
I reckon this might be. Just like a hot switch.
It's not going to last for long, that's for sure.
No,
I think the likely setup is that Seth probably gets pinned at some point in a tag match, losing the title, and then the doubt is there, can he defeat the monster as well and keep, I don't know, I'm not a fan of this, to be honest.
No?
I'm not hugely against it or anything. I just feel like it's made the tag titles into props for a singles title, and that's not really what they're there to do. And I feel the same way about the women's tag titles at the moment. I'm really glad that they're getting more TV time, for sure, Alexa and Nikki, but essentially it's just a build to those two having a singles match, isn't it? And I don't like the idea of tag titles just being props in singles feuds. Yeah,
agreed. It just it undermines an entire division, really, if you go, here are some guys who are specialists at wrestling in doubles, but let's just take two top tier guys and put them together, and they've got all the powers combined that you've got to run a division. Yeah, agreed. It's a bit of a ropey one. Check out the YouTube channel later on today, because we'll have NXT, not NXT graded.
No, we won't.
We'll have Raw graded. We'll have Raw graded with Jack the Jobber, and we'll have WTF Moments with Ross Twaddell. They will deep dive into all 3 hours of Monday Night Raw a bit later on here on the Cultaholic YouTube channel. Two notable absences from Monday Night Raw last night, Adam Pacitti. One was this big announcement, which had been
That's been teased by WWE, this as well. A huge announcement coming. It was likely to be NXT getting a TV deal and all that stuff. That just didn't happen. It wasn't acknowledged at any point in the show, I believe.
Very weird, but before Raw, just a few hours before Raw started, things started to leak down about a start date and for this NXT show that hasn't been announced yet by WWE. But if it's anything to be believed, that NXT will move to USA Network and will get the jump on AEW by about a week.
I believe so. I believe that's the plan. Apparently this announcement is absolutely coming. Meltzer was kicking off on Twitter this morning. Did you see it? People were going well, I'm going to cancel my Wrestling Observer subscription.
They've got one thing wrong. Therefore, I will quit Wrestling Observer.
But he was just you can apologise when it happens next week.
But according to Dave, according to big old Dave, the NXT guys have been prepped since Thursday for this announcement, and he's also said that the stock price has gone up, which is also an indication of that.
Yes.
But, is that not the same as saying, a kestrel flew past my house on Wednesday, and my crush's name begins with a K, so therefore we're going to be dating by Christmas?
That's the way that I look at life. What was the other absence, Tom?
Another notable absence from Raw last night was Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Now, Vince has been... it's not out of the question for Vince sometimes to miss something, WWE-ish. But the fact that he's been so hands-on with SmackDown in particular lately, like going into the writers' room like 90 minutes before, ripping the whole show up and going, we're doing it again. For him to be absent on Raw on a night which was meant to have this big announcement seemed really strange. I wonder whether one begat the other, whether Vince McMahon not being there was an unexpected turn of events, so therefore they held off on the announcement until he was back.
I don't know, because you've got to believe that it would be Triple H making that announcement. He was backstage, he was manning the show yesterday. I don't think there was really much different about it. It felt like quite a good show to me, actually. I quite enjoyed Raw.
It was all right, yeah, it was good. Nice little appearance by The Fiend, which I thought was quite nice.
The Lawless stuff was great. The Lawless stuff was really, really
There was lots of other little bits in there. As I say, we'll get to on the YouTube channel later on today, but it felt like a good episode of Raw. Paul Heyman was a bigger part of Raw last night than normal in the absence of Vince McMahon. We don't know why Vince wasn't there. But it seems daft to speculate, so...
I think he's gone to All Elite, mate. So let's speculate
you dumb. What's Vincent Kennedy McMahon doing in the Impact
It's his
Zone
real
now?
name, he can use his name, Tom.
This is the greatest announcement in the history of our sport. Not my words. The words of Tony Schiavone, probably on an old episode of WCW. He said that every single week. Who'd have thunk in 2019, Adam Pacitti, we'd be talking about Tony Schiavone?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
like the guy, but he has now been signed, reportedly, by AEW and will join the commentary team. And how do you feel about this?
Well, I'm proud of AEW hiring a hot young prospect like Tony Schiavone for their commentary team. But I think the big part of this is, now this is what makes me think there's a little bit more to this, because he has been signed to AEW, so he's going to join with Jim Ross now on the commentary team. But the rumour was that WWE were after him as well.
Really?
Yes. So what we've talked about this a couple of times. We've talked about this on the podcast quite a bit as well. Is that what WWE are currently doing is they are looking to sign guys who they may not necessarily want on their team per se, but they just don't want AEW to have.
That makes sense.
And I would imagine that they were pursuing Tony Schiavone because there'd been talk that AEW were looking to get Tony Schiavone.
Right, okay.
So apparently they'd made him an offer, but he still went with All Elite instead. I think he kind of saw, well, AEW actually want to use me as a commentator, which is what I want to do. Whereas WWE would probably pay me to host like a couple of specials and then just pay me to sit around and be like an ambassador for them. They like using people as ambassadors.
Yes. I've got mixed feelings on this. I do actually like Schiavone's commentary. I think he's really good. And a team of JR, Excalibur, who I think is fantastic, and Schiavone sounds really good to me. It just worries me that they're picking up quite a lot of like old WCW or just people who maybe like aren't in their heyday anymore.
I mean,
Schiavone's still good. JR can be, I think, hit and miss now.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think when he's familiar with the product, he's still really strong.
When he's familiar and when he's passionate about it, then he's at his absolute best. When he really cares about what's going on and he wants to care about it, then he will. You know, you can't lead JR to a ring and make him drink. You've got to make him care about it as well. Do you know what? I'm excited to see what Schiavone will do. It's 2019. Who'd have thought we'd be talking about a bidding war for Tony Schiavone in 2019?
That'll put butts in seats.
I know what you're thinking. And I know Adam Pacitti has been sad about this ever since he watched the Saudi Arabia show. And I've seen you looking out the window, looking sad, little tear rolling down your eye, maybe feeling a little bit lost, a bit forlorn. And now I know why, Adam Pacitti. Because you're like thinking, when is The Undertaker going to come back on the telly? Well, fret not, my little chicken.
He's already been back. He was Extreme Rules.
Mate, you're the one that was upset, not me.
Yeah, I expect him to be walking around the Shield Field area of Newcastle. Little Mark Calloway.
Good old, all right, Mark, all right, mate. Undertaker is making a return to WWE TV. He is returning the September 10th edition of SmackDown, which is quite an epic event for SmackDown because not only is it the final one before Clash of Champions, so this is the go-home show for Clash of Champions, but also it's the first time that SmackDown has emanated from Madison Square Garden.
Oh, is that right? That's really cool.
If I'm wrong, I'll know pretty quick. But it's the first time that SmackDown's come from MSG, and this is part of a bigger thing, I think, because there's been a lot of concern about attendance at not just TV shows, but live events and wrestling shows in general for the WWE. There were pictures from Raw last night which showed a whole lot of tarping. If you're in the tarping industry at the moment, you're making a lot of money out of WWE right now. Supply and demand, baby. So there is a concern that when they go to Madison Square Garden, they want to make sure they've got the biggest audience possible.
Oh, yeah.
For that
it'd be
show.
A depressing sight to not see MSG packed out. It seems like every week now we see those pictures with various areas being tarped off, not just on like Raw, but SmackDown to like and pay-per-views. What was it? Stomping Grounds. That was. Ooh. Would you think this is setting up a match for Clash of Champions?
See, that's it now. We have so many wrestling shows.
It took me a while there.
Which one are we on this week? Clash of Champions. Okay. I don't think it is. I don't think one week out it is. I don't think.
Imagine if he comes out, lights go out, Fiend takes out Taker. What a legend to.
That'd be pretty tasty.
Yeah.
But then obviously it wouldn't mean a match at Clash of Champions. I wouldn't want to see Undertaker.
That's a Mania match. I know we've had it already, but it's different, isn't it? It's different this time around.
God, yeah, imagine. Oh God.
Ray should retire Taker. Fiend should retire.
I thought you said Ray should retire Undertaker.
that too.
Smack him with a 6'9", send him packing. No, that'd be great though.
Not Ray Mysterio. I was talking about Ray Rougeau.
Oh, of course. Bring back the Quebecers for one more go round. He was Quebecers, wasn't he, Ray? Or was that
yeah. Jock Rougeau and Ray Rougeau.
We are news. We are the most informed wrestling people.
Yeah.
But Undertaker September 10th SmackDown. Should we have a little wager? Do we think that Bray is gonna attack?
Oh, it seems very early, doesn't it? It seems very early to be doing that stuff. But what else is he gonna do? He can't just come out there and say, a future opponent will rest in peace. I can do it with the. Right, this is quite handy.
I love SmackDown in Madison Square Garden.
Dong.
Out comes Joey Ryan. Right, that's your news for today. I haven't got an outro.
He's getting his tins out, I assume. What's he doing? Oh, he's done it!
I haven't got a heart either.
Oh my word.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.